Hey, what's up? How's it going? These are my UFC Vegas 55 betting results as far as the night goes. Let's start here. Number one. Wow. I really underestimated Sam Hughes. And I just want to say, sorry for underestimating you, Sam Hughes. That was fucking awesome. You dominated Elise Reed and you ended up finishing her off in the third round. That was fucking amazing. I'm proud to have lost $5 betting on Elise Reed to win. I thought Elise Reed had a better ground game than Sam Hughes, but Sam Hughes really impressed me. And she cost me $5. Man. But ultimately, though, I just want to say, though, like, it was a great fight for Sam Hughes. Elise Reed didn't know what to do on the ground. I underestimated Elise Reed's ground game, but I underestimated Sam Hughes in whole. I just want to say how, like, awesome it was, though, to watch Sam Hughes dominate Elise Reed. So, good job, Sam Hughes. Respect. Okay, and for Chase Super versus Philippe Colares, or Colares, however you pronounce it, like, that was a really good fight. Like, that was so fucking awesome. Like, it was just a pure scramble, right? Like, it was nothing but scrambling for like 2.5 rounds. And then, like, by the last, like, couple minutes of the third round, Chase Super ended up getting on top of Felipe and just ended up like punching him out and getting the technical knockout, the stoppage by stoppage, right? Stoppage by punches or whatever. Referee called it right then and there. But like, respect to Philippe Colares, like that was a tough fight for him. Like they were both just scrambling the entire freaking match on the ground, like a couple of snakes fighting for like 10 fucking minutes, 12 fucking minutes, whatever it was, before Chase got on top and started like ground and pound shit. That was cool, man. Like Chase Super, he's gonna be a fucking champion one day. Definitely count on it. I put my money on that. Like one day Chase Hooper will have one of those belts over his fucking shoulder or whatever you want to say. You know what I mean? As far as that goes, he will have it. But as far as that goes, Chase Hooper won me some money, so I'm pretty proud of that for match number 2 of the prelims tonight. So respect to Chase Hooper. Okay, and fight number 3, I'm just going to cross out Vince Morales right here, although with all due respect. Jonathan Martinez kept on the constant pressure in that fight, and since I bet on Jonathan Martinez, he won me a bit of money there, but ultimately, really good pressure by Jonathan Martinez, and this is his 3rd fight in the row that he won, so, I'm looking forward to seeing more Jonathan Martinez fights. Respect, JM, good fight. Fight number 4, Omar Morales versus Uros Medic. I'm just going to cross out Omar Morales right here. It was a really good fight. Round 1 could have went either way. At the end of round 1, though, Uros Medic ended up landing a really big one against Omar Morales. Then they went to round 2. Everything seemed to be going well there for a bit, and then all of a sudden Uros Medic ended up dropping Omar Morales 3 fucking times. And on the 3rd time, Omar Morales landed on the ground. It seemed like the referee could let it go a bit longer, but ultimately the ref stopped the fight before Uros Medic could hurt Omar Morales, ultimately. And this is Omar Morales' first time getting knocked out as a professional fighter, though. But it was a really good fight. It was a really good fight. Mad respect to Uros Medic for winning me some money that time around. I'm really happy that he won, but at the same time, I was just like, respect to both fighters. Like, Uros Medic is a finisher, and that's what I was betting on at the beginning of the entire thing. But ultimately, Uros Medic won that one, so thank you, Uros Medic, for winning me some money. Woo! Fight number 5, Geltin Almeida versus Parker Porter. I hope Parker Porter's okay. Ultimately, like that's what happened. What everybody said that was going to happen. Everybody said that Parker Porter was going to get on the ground by Almeida, and Almeida was going to control him the entire fight. That's exactly what happened. Geltin Almeida got on top of Parker Porter. Parker Porter didn't land any strikes whatsoever, anything like that. He couldn't get back up or anything like that, which is why Parker Porter was at plus 450, and that's the only reason I bet on Parker Porter was the plus 450. You know what I mean? Ultimately, if Parker Porter would have won, I would have won the most money back of all the fights, ultimately, you know what I mean, because he was such a fucking underdog. But ultimately, what everybody said would happen, happened. Geltin Almeida got on top of Parker Porter and completely dominated Parker Porter, and that's that. Good job, Geltin Almeida. And Parker Porter cost me $5, man, just like I knew he kind of would, but it was my wild card bet as far as that goes. But again, congratulations to Almeida, and I look forward to seeing Almeida dominate again in his next bout, but we'll see what happens. Respect. Fight number 6 was a quick one, Joseph Holmes versus Alan Hamadovsky. I was a bit worried because Alan Hamadovsky has finished off people with the same similar dimensions as Joseph Holmes, but that didn't really play out that way. Joseph Holmes ended up finishing off Alan Hamadovsky after he threw a knee, which opened up the finish for Joseph Holmes. It was a really good fight and really good performance by Joseph Holmes. I look forward to seeing him in more bouts in the future. I bet on Joseph Holmes, so respect to him for winning me a couple bucks there. Woo! Okay, now we're on the main card of the night. We got fight number 7, Eric Anders versus Jun Young Park. I'm just going to cross out Eric Anders here because Jun Young Park won. But after watching the fight, my perspective of the fight is that Eric Anders won the fight, but ultimately never leave it in the hands of the judges because, they gave it to Jun Young Park in the end. And Yeah, even at the end of the fight, even Eric Anders kind of thought he won that fight because he was like, "Hey, let's go get a beer afterwards." You could hear him saying that to Jung Young Park, but what are you gonna do, right? And just never leave it in the hands of the judges. And they gave it to Jung Young Park, so good job on the Iron Turtle, but mad respect to Eric Anders. I believe that he won that fight, but moving on. Okay, fight number 8. That's Pollyanna Vienna versus Tabitha Ricci. That was a decent fight overall. You know, I have to cross out Pollyanna Vienna because Tabitha won by decision, and she managed to squeeze out a decision by all of her takedowns. She had so much ground control, it was insane. Well, Pollyanna Vienna kind of just seemed like she was okay with losing or something because she didn't really want to fight for it. But Tabitha Ricci scrapped her way to the win and dominated Pollyanna Vienna. So good work, Baby Shark. I bet on Pollyanna Vienna to win, but I also placed a side bet on Tabitha Baby Shark Ricci, and you know, I won my side bet, but ultimately, you know, Pollyanna Vienna let me down there. But you know, respect though to Tabitha Ricci. She's really awesome. You know, she's like the hottest. Like I said, she's like the hottest fucking UFC fighter I've fucking ever seen there. But anyways, decent fight. Next fight. Bout number 9, Chidi Njokwani versus Dushko Todorovic. I'm gonna cross out Dushko Todorovic, but what was happening in the fight? At first, Dushko Todorovic looked like he was winning, everything was kind of going his way to a certain extent, and then it seemed like Dushko gave up his back, and then after that, Chidi Njokwani just kind of like controlled him for a bit, and then they got into a grappling match face to face, and eventually when they were separating, Chidi Njokwani went in for the elbow right to the fucking temple, hit him in the fucking temple with his elbow, and Dushko dropped to the ground. The referee stopped it. It was fucking awesome. Great win for Chidi Njokwani. Fight number 10, that was Santiago Ponzinibio versus Michel Pereira. That one was a really good fight. Now, almost Griffin versus Bonner. Nothing will live up to Griffin versus Bonner, but ultimately it was a really good fight, the co-main event tonight. I thought that Santiago might squeeze out a victory, but ultimately the judges saw that Michel Pereira won the first and the second round, so that, you know, that made the decision overall in Michel's favor. As soon as they raised Michel's hand, Santiago walked out of the ring because, you know, even Santiago was like, "Hey man, I probably won this fight," but ultimately rounds 1 and 2, where Michel landed more strikes and had more pressure overall in the first and the second round at least, that won Michel the fight. That was great. That was great. I trusted my friend when I made that bet. I was like, "Hey man, who do you think's going to win out of this fight?" And he chose Michel Pereira, and I'm glad that I trusted my friend. And you know, maybe I'll give him a call next time when I bet on UFC 275. But congratulations to Michel Pereira tonight. Good win. And for our main event, Holm versus Caitlyn Vieira. Wow, that was a tough fucking fight to call. You know, I wouldn't want to be a judge in any of that. That was kind of fucked up. Like, I give round 1 to Holm for having more pressure. Pretty much throughout the entire fucking fight, Holm had more pressure, ultimately. But like, and then round 2, I give that to Caitlyn Vieira for causing more damage and almost tapping out Holm. That was cool, but Holm had really good submission defense as far as that goes. Then as for round 3, that one was a complete fucking tie. You know, I mean, that one could have been anyone's. It could have gone either way. Depends on who you are. Depends on where you see the fight. Like, and ultimately, round number 4, Caitlyn Vieira caused more damage on Holm than anything, but there's a great body kick from Holm that sent Caitlyn Vieira to the ground, but ultimately Caitlyn Vieira caused way more damage in round 4. And then round number 5, that one was a tricky one. At the beginning, they hugged each other, you know, and one of the things about that is Caitlyn Vieira kind of has implied that Holm is one of her heroes because Holm is 40 and Caitlyn Vieira is 30, and you know, Caitlyn Vieira grew up watching Holm win fights and things like that. So it was a really like hard round to score, but ultimately there was more pressure from Holm. I thought that Holm won that fight in round 5. I thought she got round 5, but ultimately, like, I thought Holm won the entire fight, but the judges saw it differently and they chose Caitlyn Vieira to win. So even though I bet on Caitlyn Vieira to win, and I'm glad that I won my bet, you know, I just really thought that Holm was robbed. The way that Holm and earlier in the night, Eric Anders, I thought he fucking won that, right? But like, the judges saw something else, and same thing happened here for the main event, Holm versus Caitlyn Vieira. But what are you gonna do, right? Maybe when the judges had a bet on Caitlyn Vieira, and you know, sometimes that shit kind of works its way into professional sports, but it is what it is, and congratulations to Caitlyn Vieira. It was, sorry, my eyes were a little bit watery at the beginning of this video, because at the end of the fight, I just finished watching the fight, right? At the end of the fight, Caitlyn Vieira was like crying in tears and super emotional and stuff like that, and I was like, this powerful stuff, you know? But I fucking love UFC, I fucking love fighting, fucking love it. It's great. It was a great night overall. Congratulations to Caitlyn Vieira. I'm going to have to say that, you know, fight of the night was almost that Santiago Ponzinibio versus Michel Pereira, and you know, knockout of the night, I guess I'd have to give that to Chidi Njokwani for the most part, but ultimately it was a fucking good night overall, and I just, you know, would have been nice if Eric Anders won, but you know, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, right? That was UFC Fight Night, 55, Holm versus Vieira. I had a great time watching it. I think I won how many picks here? 1, 2, 3, 7 out of 11 picks. I picked 7 wins out of the 11 fights that happened tonight, so I'm pretty happy with my results. And keep it a game, keep it fun. Whenever you're gambling on sports, it's always 50-50 whenever you flip the coin or whatever. That's what it is ultimately, when it comes to most sports anyway. But I had a great time watching the fights. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you have a great week. Respect. Ultimately,